Star Wars Visions is back with Volume 3, aka Season 3, and we have a lot of fan favorites from Volume 1 getting sequels, and we also got The Ninth Jedi in 2026 getting its full little mini series. So, yeah, man, Star Wars and anime is a great combination. We're back once again. Some returning studios, some new studios, just new ideas. I've always liked this concept of just allowing a lot of these anime studios to kind of get their hands in the Star Wars sandbox, and man, do they do some really creative things. With that being said, let's get right into this season and talk about each individual episode. Starting off with the Ronin sequel episode, The Duel Payback. I really like this one. They really stepped up not only the animation, but also the story. The episode is much longer. It's 21 minutes, but this shit is pretty much a short film where the Ronin, he's doing his thing. He's collecting red kyber crystals and stuff like that. Then runs into this chick that ends up, being his ally because there's a greater threat where you have this new villain called the Grand Master, and he's kind of this Jedi that has lost his way and has become obsessed with getting revenge on the Ronin. And just everything about this episode was really dope. It makes me think like, yeah, this is going to be their next series after The Ninth Jedi, and I think a lot of people are going to really enjoy this one. The next episode that we get is following this princess. This is called The Song of Four Wings, which is really cool. It has a really interesting art style. When I initially saw this one, I didn't know how I was going to feel about it because it's more of like 3D than 2D, but it's not too egregious once you kind of see it in motion. And you have this princess that she's checking out this village that the Empire has attacked. There's a survivor, this little creature, whatever, really adorable. And now she has to pretty much escape this planet. And she also finds out what the Empire is doing on this planet, and they are pretty much mining for some minerals and some hyper fuel or something, whatever the fuck. And this was actually pretty cool, you know what I'm saying? She ends up getting backed into a corner, and her droid is also kind of like an Iron Man, like a suit for her. And when she transforms, she looks like an X-Wing, which was really fucking cool. And also kind of getting a little bit of her backstory on just being in a similar situation as this little creature. So for it being only 14 minutes, was really interesting. Also, the creature has force abilities, which is really cool. But like I said, it's really short. I could see some people enjoying this one. Nothing too crazy. Now, finally, we get to the episode I've been waiting for, the sequel to The Ninth Jedi. That was my favorite story from Volume 1, and that's getting its own series starting next year. And man, I cannot wait. This episode is 22 minutes long. It's a full episode, and Cara is back. Margrave is also back. And I like how we kind of just get right into some action of them being chased by some Jedi hunters. And Cara ends up getting split up and shot off into like space or whatnot, and then comes across this like crashed abandoned ship and makes this relationship with this other service droid, Tato. I think that's how you pronounce his name. Really reminds me of Dubby a lot, just the way it would talk to itself in the third person. But this definitely surprised me because this isn't really action heavy at all. This is more of a character driven story with Kara, downing herself, blaming herself for her father being kidnapped, her wanting to rescue him, also not too sure about being a great Jedi, having a lot of self doubt, and there's a lot of like self sacrifice, those type of themes throughout this. And we get a clue onto who is the big bad for this series. And they keep teasing his name. So I like that this was a good teaser for what's to come. I think it sets up Kara's arc really well. You know what I'm saying? As far as her goals and what she wants to accomplish, she wants to save her father and she wants to be a great Jedi. Very simple. The art style is much different. Like they went with a different type of art style. So I don't know how a lot of people are going to kind of feel about that because when it comes to just the lightsaber action and stuff, it's a lot slower. And I guess they went with a more mocap type of animation, similar to like the Duel. I don't know how some people are going to feel about that. I want to see how they do that in the actual series, what the show looks like by then. But it definitely seems like the budget definitely went up a bit. But yeah, I really can't wait until we see this full series. Next up, from Wit Studio, they bring us The Bounty Hunters. And this I definitely want to see more of. This follows the character Seven and her droid that has the split personality, which is really cool. So the gist of this one is she gets assigned to a job, not knowing that the job that she's doing, going after this resistance group, she's working for a child trafficker pretty much. Pretty dark theme. I would say this is the darkest thus far. You know what I'm saying? And her being framed for something or labeled a traitor is interesting and makes me think like I want to see more of this and what she was being accused of. Really like the art style. Reminds me of The Bride. And what's really cool about this is they mention the smugglers. Now, Trigger has an episode named Smugglers. So I'm wondering if there's some connection there. That would be really cool if they start having episodes or certain stories that are connected but are done with completely different animation. That'd be cool. But really solid episode overall. Next is Yuko's Treasure, and this one is another banger, man, and another episode where you could definitely do a spin-off and do a full series with this. And the good thing about this one is a good family-friendly episode. So Yuko is this little girl that has this bear droid, you know what I'm saying? And this bear droid, his name is Billy, but also you have this other kid named Solo. I think that's how it's pronounced. And he works for these pirates, and pretty much they want a specific droid that Yuko has, because this leads to some type of treasure they heard of. And once everything kind of, starts to kind of kick off, you have Solo pretty much switching sides and trying to warn Yuko about the pirates, but it's too late. They snatch up Billy, reprogram him, turn him into like Darth Billy, which was really cool and really sad for Yuko, because it's like, damn, she lost, like, everybody lost her parents. And what ends up happening is the pirates get to the location where the treasure was, and they see that there's nothing there. But what they didn't know is it's actually below them. And before all that happens, there's this creature that kind of is this running gag in this episode that pops up and disrupts their plan. But this is a story that you definitely could continue. We could pick up some years later as these characters get older. But yeah, that was Yuko's Treasure. Then we get the sequel to The Bride called Lost Ones. We pick up with F once again, and she finds herself on this planet saving these group of people. Well, we get two character names, Theo and Ron, and they have just pretty much this carbonite type of like material, something like this pure carbonite, it's pretty much like pure dope, man. And they were going to use this to kind of bargain with the Empire. In this kind of scenario, the Empire is looked at as the good guys, and Jedi are looked at as the villains. And it's really interesting how they set this up, because as they're escaping the planet, you have this gas kind of turning everything into just carbonite. Like it's really devastating, and you could see it through the different characters that are affected by this. So F still believes in the Jedi ways and whatnot. And what ends up happening, Ron comes up with this idea to kind of make it look like I'm going to hand you over to the Empire. But what ends up happening is F didn't expect to run into her old master, that goes by the name of Zero now. And he's pretty much wants her to come over to the dark side. They start to clash. She loses an arm, but she's able to get one over on him by putting one of these carbonite things that they were talking about earlier onto him to pretty much turn him into carbonite. Good episode. Overall, this is another one that could continue and be its own thing. Next up, we got The Smuggler, and this is coming from Trigger. Once again, anytime Trigger does anything Star Wars related, they kill it, and I really like the art style that they go with this. This follows our smuggler, and she is on the run. She's kind of hit like a wall, as far as her career goes, and the Empire's on her ass. But then she gets a job to transport two people, pretty much. And one of the people ends up being this prince. And they pretty much break it down in the beginning of the episode that, the Empire took over this this planet, Cinerita. I think that's how you pronounce it. And what ends up happening is it becomes like this escape from this planet, or escape from this place temporarily to kind of get out of there. The prince makes it known that he's still alive. The Empire wants him specifically. He's the last one to survive from this royal family. And yet again, man, like another episode where this could continue, and having the prince get on one knee, which I thought he was going to ask the smuggler to marry him, which was really funny. But he just wants the best smuggler for the job to liberate the people and take his power back, pretty much. Really solid episode. So now we've reached the penultimate episode, The Bird of Paradise, and man, this stylistically has one of the best art styles. It goes more with this 3D, 2D blend. We follow this Padawan that's very arrogant, ends up getting her wings kind of clipped and gets humbled because of her arrogance, and now she is blind. out here in the wilderness, and now she has to kind of go on this self-discovery type of journey. And this was dope. I really liked the colors and just the inner battles within herself. Very solid episode. Let me know what you think about this one in the comments. And we saved the best for last. Black. This episode is got no dialogue. It's all visuals and jazz music, man. This episode was incredible. Probably the best episode of Visions, in my opinion. I don't know how everybody's going to feel about it, but man, just seeing the visuals, you're seeing like these two soldiers fight each other, and it's like flashing through like past, present, and future in such a insane way to just capture that. That's all I could say. Like, me explaining this episode doesn't do it justice. It's one of those episodes you have to just see it to believe it. This whole entire season has been incredible, from start to finish. I can't wait to see what they do for Volume 4 in the future of a lot of these different stories. But let me know how you feel about it in the comments below. Till next time, I'm out.